Hi folks, and welcome to another update on Crow Road, my Engage Glasgow layout. In this video I had some scratch-built houses, sort out the signalling, and make out some progress with the embankment between the track and the back scene. So first up, I've added the first set of accommodation to the layout based on these houses on Clarence Drive. As I showed in a previous video, these are on an embankment above Crow Road Station, or as was, orientated at about 45 degrees to the track, as you can see in this Google Maps view. I was a bit concerned that they might not look very good, as if I orientate them as 45 degrees, the roofs will need to blend into the back scene, and it might look a little strange. And just to confirm that hunch, I tried it with two pieces of Metcalf roofing, as you can see in this image, and to me it doesn't look very good. So I've changed the orientation so they are face on to the track. So the two houses will be orientated as you see in this image. So you'll see one front on, and you'll see the end of the other one. I first made outlines of the buildings by creating the building shapes in Inkscape, using measurements I took from Google Maps and from some other building models I had just as a comparison. These were then printed onto paper to get an idea of what they might look like. As you can see in this image, and I think it looks quite good. I did also try a compressed version of the buildings to see if I could fit the two buildings sort of face on, to see what that might look like. But yeah, I wasn't happy with that. They look a bit too compressed and not enough like the original, so I've gone with the one face on and one at 90 degrees to that. Being happy with the building outlines, they were then glued to card. Cut out using a sharp knife, and then I used some Scalescenes Pebbledash covering and used some PVA glue to glue them in place. For the windows, I decided to try a method I've used once before, but didn't go that well. But I thought I'd try it again. Is the sticky label method. How this works is you print the glass area, or the glass area for the window. In this case, I printed it grey to be about sort of a half a mil smaller than the window itself, and then you then print that out onto sticky labels, and then stick that to the acetate, and then you then very carefully cut around the edge of the grey area, basically removing the grey area. You need a really sharp knife for this, and you need to be quite delicate. But if you're lucky, after you've cut round all the four edges, you can just carefully lift up an edge of the sticky paper to leave behind the window, and you've then got a window frame around it. And then it's simply a case of gluing these behind the window hole of the building. And having done it for the house, I'm really pleased with how it's come out, especially the larger windows, where I think using the same technique, the previous techniques I've used of just kind of sticking a bit of thin plastic card behind it, I don't think it looks as good. So I'm going to try this technique for the other buildings on the layout, accepting that it probably will take quite a bit more time. I then assembled the different pieces of building. using a little PVA glue. I find less is more with the glue on these. You don't need a lot just to keep it together. And I use these magnets that I've had for a while now, which I find really useful for getting a nice straight sort of 90-degree edge. Can you have a straight 90-degree edge? Anyway, a nice 90-degree corner between the different parts of the building. And once that was all completed, I noticed the roof had a slight sag in it. I think because the card I was using was it wasn't strong enough basically. So I changed that for 1mm plasticard, which was a lot better. And also realised that I forgot to add the chimneys to the house. So while I was changing over to the plasticards, I cut out these bits too, bits in the plasticard for the chimneys, and I also added some additional bits of card for the chimneys. If you ever made a Metcalf kit, that's a technique I use. So you've got the internal wall with the chimney bit attached to it, and that helps also provide a bit more support to the roof as well. The roof was then covered with the Scalescenes clay tiles, which seem to match the image of the second house. The first one looks to have a slightly different coloured tile, but maybe faded over time or whatever. But yeah, I went with those. And these you kind of cut out thin strips, again using quite a sharp knife and a ruler, and then you glue on each individual strip. I've used this quite a lot. It does take time, but the final look for this looks a bit untidy to me, so I might redo it. Yeah, I'll see how I go on. I've also added some internal walls and floors, so I might add some detailing and lighting to the rooms later on, but I'm gonna leave it like this for now. I have added lighting and detailing to houses in the past, and it's a lot of fun, but you really barely notice it. So yeah, I'm gonna have a think, especially given these houses are going to have some bushes and trees in front of them. I'm not quite sure how much you're actually going to be able to see of the rooms, really. Between the houses and the street, I've added a small slope, as in the prototype, using some masking tape, and then added a small wall using the same Pebbledash texture which is then attached to the side of the road section. And while I was doing that, I remembered to add some wire connectors, so if I do decide to add lighting at a later date, then I've got an easy place to just connect it back up again, and that sits underneath the road. So also, if I decide to add traffic lights street lights along the road, then there's an easy place for them to all connect up to. Moving on to the slope beside the house, in the prototype, you can see in this image it was a nice grassy bank leading from the terraced houses all the way down to the track with a little bit of a wall along the bottom, and I wanted to try and replicate this as much as I could on the layout. Obviously, I've got nowhere near the length of the bank in the original, but I thought I'd try. For the base, I've used some foam strips, which came out some of the storage stock boxes I've got. So I've cut those to fit at a 45-degree angle and built them up. Over that I laid masking tape, which was then painted brown, and then had Pico grass scatter glue onto it. The current area is a lot more overgrown than you see in that original image. It's covered in trees and bushes, as you'd expect, because given it's probably nobody's responsibility to maintain it anymore. And so I've started to add some trees and bushes along the bank, using Woodlandscenics foliage and their polyfibre together with some rubber horsehair, to kind of give it more of an overgrown look. But I'm not going to go overboard with this. I'm just going to sort of add little bits and pieces and just kind of see when I'm happy with the look. And with that all done, I thought now was a good time to compare how close my model was to reality, or reality as was. And so I got out the closest I've engine and wagons I've got to the old photo as a comparison. So what do you think? I'm happy with it. For me, the differences are because I've had to compress the layout, or compress the view to fit on my layout compared to real things like the walls you can see right at the foreground and the walls beside the house aren't in the right locations, probably not quite the right size, but yeah, I'm really pleased. And then finally for this video, I've got the signal in a new location now where it doesn't foul the passing trains. So this now controls the loop onto the main line rather than before where it controlled the main line. I did think it was a bit too close to the junction, but then I was at Guildford Station walking up down the platform trying to keep warm, and I noticed that the signals of the junctions there are about the same distance apart as I've got them, so I'm going to stop worrying about that. Yeah, just needs wiring up now. And the other thing I noticed when I was there was that the distance between the steps and the platform edge is about the same as it is on my Croro platform, which had bothered me for a while, but now that doesn't bother me at all. As I say, there's a prototype for everything. And that's pretty much where I'm at now. Yes, I hope you enjoyed this latest update on Croro. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I'll see you all next time.